Hello and welcome back to goldstocktrades.com. Today we have a new and special guest with us, Desmond O'Kell. Desmond is Senior Vice President at Enterprise Group. Enterprise Group can be traded as E on the Toronto Stock Exchange and also as ETOLF on the US side. Des, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Oh, my pleasure.
Desmond, can you talk about the third quarter highlights? We saw revenue of $10 million, a significant increase of earnings since the past year. Talk to us about some of the highlights in this third quarter.
Well, certainly. The quarter was definitely an increase over the same period last year. In fact, just over 130% in revenue gain. And, we've made two acquisitions in the last year that have contributed to these statements in a fairly impactful way. The acquisition we made in June of this year very much impacted this Q3. And if you reference the news release, you can see that we also comment on the backlog of work going forward, which is very, very promising. The two acquisitions, one of them is a little bit seasonal. It's Arctic Therm International that was acquired last year, September of 2012. And the business they're in is a very, very unique flameless heating business. So obviously, with the premium heating season coming upon us here right now, their activities and their performance will ramp up in a big way into Q4 and, of course, Q1 of 2014.
Desmond, we saw in the press release that you've been awarded millions of dollars of project work in Western Canada. What's going on in Western Canada, and why is Enterprise positioned to benefit from this?
Right. Well, good question. Some of your listeners may or may not be really aware of what's happening here in the region, but we have two very specific, large-scale, multi-billion-dollar build-outs. That is the oil sands build-out. And the next build-out that we're right on the doorstep of is a massive LNG build-out. There's over 6 permitted LNG facilities that will be built on the west coast of Canada. And basically all the feedstock of this LNG build-out is going to come from right here in the local area. So the build-out for right from on the ground drilling and so forth, all the way to the pipelines, the road building, and so forth, is really driving probably the best economy in the world right now is right here in Western Canada. And what also feeds off of that is infrastructure. Obviously, with the economy moving at a very robust pace, everything from infrastructure, which is subdivisions of people moving to the area, that's in a big growth spurt, roads and so forth. So the whole plate is full right now on the construction side. In fact, there was a large worldwide construction player that I did a presentation just before, and he mentioned that in the year 2020, Canada will have the third largest construction industry in the world. So that's anticipating the build-outs that are happening and just starting right now. So we're very much a part of that build-out because Enterprise Group services three segments quite evenly: energy, utilities, and infrastructure. So we're very much a part of the three segments that are driving the robust economy at the moment.
And since September of 2012, you've made some major acquisitions that are benefiting shareholders right now. Can you talk to us about those acquisitions and some of the strategies that you guys are looking at to build a bigger company in the space?
Yeah, certainly. Well, in September 2012, we acquired Arctic Therm International. This is a company that developed and patented these very, very high output flameless heating units. And the sole desire of that gentleman who developed these units was really to develop a solution for thermal expansion of pipelines at the construction phase. And the reason why he wanted to do that is we're drilling deeper for our resources, Jeb, and the deeper we drill into the earth, the hotter the fluids are that come out of the ground. So when you build a pipeline that is going to carry hot fluids, there is a phenomenon called thermal expansion. In other words, when you heat steel, steel expands. So when you build a brand new pipeline that's going to carry hot fluids, what happens in the early stages of that pipeline? You get a thermal expansion of the pipe while that hot fluid is heating the pipe in the early stages. Now, about 1 kilometer of pipe, 1,000 meters of pipe will actually stretch up just over a meter. It might not sound like a lot, but if you have 10 kilometers of pipeline between the risers, that's well over 10 meters of movement. And that's enough to create breaches at your weak welds in the joints or at the bends and the risers. You get that movement and you get these breaches. Well, breaches are a fact of life with hot pipelines. So what this gentleman wanted to do was build a unit where they could actually preheat the pipe at the construction phase. So he's built these units and patented this design, and it's a flameless heating unit that puts out 3.3 million BTU of heat power and blower technology that can take that dry, breathable heat and send it out at a velocity of 15,000 cubic feet per minute. So it's quite a phenomenal design, and there's well over 7 years left on the patents. And he developed this solution to heat pipelines at the construction phase and actually get the stability of the pipeline in the ground at the start before you start running the hydrocarbons. He's been doing this since the year 2000 and has quite a roster of quite blue chip clients. So it's an acquisition that really has hyper extended our profitability because of its exclusivity and its uniqueness. It's a very, very high margin business. At the moment, it's fairly seasonal. As I said, we're going into what is the premium heating and construction season in the oil field right now. So they're going to have a tremendous impact on Q4 and, of course, Q1 of 2014.
Des, let's talk about some of the other businesses within the enterprise group.
Certainly. Well, in June of this year, we acquired Calgary Tunneling. This is a highly unique and very infrequent type of service. It's a business that only has one other competitor in our western region that has the capacity that this business has, and there's an incredible amount of work that's going on that they're backlogging at the moment. And this is a company that is very, very evenly distributed between the three segments I talked about earlier: infrastructure, utilities, and of course energy. Now on the energy side, where their services are used, because they're a tunneling operation and there's such a great deal of pipeline construction going on, what happens is when these pipeline construction companies are building a pipeline and they come up to an obstacle like a railway or a highway, road, or seasonal or permanent water areas where you cannot trench through with the equipment and lay the pipe, you have to tunnel underneath these obstacles. So there's a fantastic roster of new pipeline projects that are happening in Western Canada. Some of them are going to the States, some of them are going out to the West Coast in that LNG build-out, some are going from west to east in Canada here. But there's a tremendous roster of construction in the large diameter pipeline business that's probably has about a 3 to 5 year outlook that is just excellent that we've got our eye on. So Calgary Tunneling was very impactful to this Q3 that we just announced. In fact, they were about 45% of the top line revenue. They operated a very high margin, right around that 40% EBITDA margin. So just an excellent addition. And of course, like I said, we've got our eye on the next 3 to 5 year outlook, which is just outstanding in the large diameter pipeline construction side.
Desmond, there's been some reports from some analysts that Enterprise Group is significantly undervalued. Some have a target of over $2. The company's trading under $1. Could you comment about and explain why some are seeing an undervaluation in this company?
Well, over the last year and a half, 2 years, we've really refocused the company. We had, a downturn that was experienced worldwide from, about 2008 to the middle of 2010. So, there was a very good, rebuild, refocus going on here at Enterprise. But during that downturn, the stock was trading, under the 20-cent level during that downturn. So we've come a long way in a year. I think, our 52-week high low, the low on it was around 20 cents. So we've come a long way trading just above 80 cents now. But what's happened, it's taken, a bit of time to get the eyes and get the exposure that the company deserves. And I guess therein lies the opportunity for new shareholders to come in, is to the fact that some of the analysts have pegged our 2014 at prices that are well over double our current trading levels. So, overnight you don't go from 80 cents to 205 like one of the analysts targets for us in 2014. You don't do that overnight. So, it is a bit of an anomaly, but it takes a little time to get that market exposure, and that's really starting to happen now. Yesterday, I think we had our largest volume day. We were over 4 million shares on all the exchanges. And on the TSX, I think we were fourth or fifth behind some very, very large companies like Air Canada and Bombardier.
Desmond, you announced the intention to become a reporting issuer in the U.S. Is that part of your goal with getting greater exposure, or can some of your businesses help come into the United States?
Yeah, it's going to help a great deal. We've got a tremendous story with some very unique, very exclusive businesses. It's a story that is sitting in, like I said, the probably the best construction economy in the world right now, and that story really needs to have the ability to get to the U.S. And we feel that this 20F filing, which will allow U.S. shareholders to fully examine and review our financials and all our reporting materials on EDGAR. It's a step that also allows us in the future to list very easily on the Amex or the New York in good time. But initially, what it allows us to do is get our filings onto EDGAR and fully get our reporting materials accessible to the U.S. shareholder.
Well, Desmond O'Kell, Senior Vice President and co-founder of Enterprise Group, which can be traded as E on the Toronto Stock Exchange and ETOLF on the U.S. Thank you so much for being here with us today and for giving us an update on this strong third quarter.
Well, thank you, Jeb. I really appreciate this.